My next dichotomy to talk about is going to be humility and pride. This is such a pesky one because we have such strong opinions about both sides of this, which I guess is a lot of these dichotomies. But what I mean about this specific one is both sides are held up with such reverence. Like, we love seeing when people are so humble and, oh gosh, that they just seem like so modest about their accomplishments. But also, we love celebrating people who are badass and are proud of what they do and aren't ashamed to show it. And then I think what we then do is worry about what people think of us in either regard. Like, if we are humble, people might start to think we're being falsely humble or that it's just for show. And then, of course, if we're being proud and loud, people might start to think that we are too much or we're arrogant. So then we end up kind of demonizing both. And I think specifically we demonize any show of either one, then worry that if we appear that way, we will be ostracized or called out or whatever. So then we decide to not show anything. Now, before I move on, there is a wisdom to that. There are times where it's best not to say anything and to let people think what they think. So don't hear me as saying we need to be strongly one or the other. If anything, these dichotomy videos are to show, again, that dance that we do in between. But I think if you look at some of your creative heroes, the people who have inspired you, you will notice there are going to be times where they are really humble. They're very honest about what they don't know or what they don't do. An example for me is Stephen Sondheim. When asked about jazz, he blatantly says that he is not a jazz writer. He doesn't do jazz harmonies, at least not intentionally in the way that jazz has developed. He might have jazzy chords, but it's not because he himself is practicing jazz musicianship as a composer. So I think that creative people can be really honest about what their limitations are and be humble about the things that they don't know. And many times in theater circles, I've heard people say, you know what, we're just a bunch of people dressing up in costumes and telling stories on stage. And of course, theater people believe that theater does more than that, but when you kind of just look at what we do, that isn't a bad reminder, because sometimes we can end up taking what we do too seriously, or so seriously that we forget that there's a whole world out there with other things going on. But there is a certain kind of down-to-earth humility about remembering, yeah, we are just people in costumes running around on stage telling stories. And yet, we can be proud of that. We can be proud that that's what we do and it is able to have an impact on people. And I think, I didn't have the opportunity to meet Sondheim, but I imagine he was quite proud of his work. I don't think he shied away from saying that the things that he did were the things that he did. And he had, strong, informed opinions about the work that he was doing. It's just that he happened to also know when it was time to shine the spotlight on somebody else, because he would give credit to his collaborators, the playwrights that he worked with and the orchestrators that he worked with. So in my mind, Sondheim is somebody who accomplished that dance quite well, of humility and pride. I can't speak to his inner life, but just from what I have read and seen of his public facing life, in regards to his creative accomplishments, he seems to do that dance well. So going back to what I said before, though, of how we might end up kind of vilifying people who seem too strong in one or the other, that I think is like a self-made trap, because we might have this fear of, I don't want to be seen as overly modest or too humble, or trying to make a show of my humility. And because we don't want to be seen as arrogant and boastful and loud, we can then shut ourselves down in a way from being either, and then feeling pride or humility can end up trapping us. So I think, I am still working on this myself, but I think the key to breaking out of this really has to do with knowing yourself. And I don't mean knowing yourself so that you can define yourself and declare yourself to other people easily. I guess I just mean in the moment, being settled and grounded in yourself. And here's why I think that's the solution. Because you'll know just how much credit you are supposed to take for a thing. And you'll know if you're just being exuberant or excited about something you did. So yeah, I'm going to be proud. And being grounded in yourself means that other people's opinions really don't matter. Of course, there are a lot of artists like myself who will then say, but other people's opinions obviously matter because we're trying to do work that affects people. But I think for this particular conversation, not worrying about how you will be received or perceived or the reactions that you're going to get can mean you can be as humble or as proud as makes sense. Like, if you accomplished something, be proud of it. You did it. Why should you quiet yourself for the sake of people who may misinterpret you and think that you're being arrogant if you know you're just being real? You're being truthful about what you were able to accomplish. And another part of being real is recognizing what credit isn't yours to take, to always remember how much other people have helped you along the way, have influenced you, have trained you, people who've mentored you. So yeah, give them credit, thank them. Thank them personally, thank them publicly, whatever makes sense given the circumstance. But I also think you don't need to go overboard with it. And the only way to know if you are or aren't is just here. And you might get it wrong. You might forget to thank people, or you might overplay your humility. But again, that's the dance. We're all learning. I think don't let the fear of getting it wrong stop you from just being in touch with what's really going on inside of you. But, the fear of other people is real. It's a huge thing, and maybe I should just do another video just about fearing what other people have to say about us and about our creative work. But I hope that was worth something for somebody who was listening. I mean, I'll say it right here. Me even doing these videos is this weird dance of humility and pride, because it's like I hear a voice that's kind of saying, who gave you the right to make videos like this? Who do you think you are? What audacity do you have? What do you even have to offer? And I hear that, and I want to keep monitoring it. And yet, why do I make these videos? Honestly, I kind of just have fun with them. I'm enjoying it. And I always say in my videos, I'm not trying to go viral. I'm not trying to make it big. If this is helpful, which I have heard from people that it is, then that's who it's for. And if it's not helpful to people, then they don't have to watch. And I think going too far on the other side of, well, I need to just remain humble, would mean I wouldn't be doing something like this that I actually kind of enjoy and also helps me put myself out there. So that's kind of just a meta example of I am making these videos because I feel like I want to, and maybe even need to make these videos. And if they help people, they help people. And if they don't, they don't. But yeah. Anyway, I just hope that whoever is watching this, if you're struggling with this humility, pride thing, you're able to just find yourself, get in touch with yourself, and lead from there, I guess. All right. Anyway, I don't know yet what my next video is going to be. It might be another dichotomy, or it might be another event-related thing. You'll be surprised when it comes out, I guess. Alrighty. Till next time.